Thanks for staying with Newsnight. The Special Investigating Unit has issued a summons to 3 companies involved in an illegal emergency project to provide water to Giyani in Limpopo. The SIU wants the 3 companies, LTE Consulting, Katu Civils and South Zambezi, to repay 2.2 billion rand they were paid by the Water and Sanitation Department, and it also wants that contract to be declared unlawful and invalid. City Press journalist Sipho Masondo has been covering the story for a number of years now. He joins us now, and Katu Civil's CEO Giyani also is going to be part of the conversation. Thank you both, gentlemen, for your time tonight. Sipho, perhaps let me begin with you just for a bit more context into the story. And it's a story I feel you know like the back of your hand, because you've been working on it literally from the time that it came to the public space. Let's talk about how we even got here to the findings of the SIU and this investigation that has now been taken to the court in Polokwane.
Thank you very much, Katie, and thanks for having us. Basically, as you correctly pointed out, this is a story that is like can wake me up at midnight, and I'll be able to tell you exactly like all the facts and all the details. But basically, what happened is that in 2016 we picked up information that a contract had been awarded to LTE, and that a lot of things had gone wrong as far as the appointment was concerned. So basically, what had happened is that the Giyani is the entire Giyani region is water scarce. There was a drought in 2009, and it was declared a disaster area, and obviously the government had to do something to fix the issues. They were not fixed between 2009 and 2014. So when Minister Giyani was appointed in 2014, she goes there and then she appoints, basically she didn't personally, but what she did, she appointed Limpopo North and Water as an implementing agent to implement the project. At the time, it was really just to refurbish the water treatment works and the wastewater treatment works around the Giyani town, which is not really a big town, and it was for about 90 or 92 million. But things went very south from there, because it was a small project which should not have lasted for more than a month. I mean, it was from August, and the minister wanted the thing done by end of October 2014. But from there, like projects, I think about 14 or 15 projects were piled on top of LTE without going to tender, without informing Treasury, without like nothing whatsoever. It ended up initially to about 5.2 million rand, and then from there, more projects were added onto the company, and then it ballooned to 2.2 billion. What happened is that because it was a turnkey, so what a turnkey is, Katie, is that you appoint Katie and Sons to deliver a project, and what Katie and Sons can do is that they can appoint Mongezi, can appoint Masondo, can appoint, but in the end, the client just wants a project that is complete. So basically what should have happened is that, in fact, that's what happened. The contract was given to LTE, and then LTE went and appointed Katu Civils. LTE actually did not have the capacity to do either the engineering or the construction itself, and then LTE went and appointed Katu Civils and South Zambezi, which have actually ended up doing both the engineering as well as the construction.
And one of the interesting things also about these 2 companies is that they had the same owner.
You mean
yes, in terms of who actually was managing the companies behind the scenes. This is now South Zambezi and Katu.
That's correct. That's correct. As far as my knowledge is concerned, Katie, South Zambezi, I mean, if I'm wrong, Mongezi will correct me here, but as far as I'm concerned, the owner of both companies is Mr. Simbi Piri.
And, you know, we're now at a point where the SIU has issued these papers and filed this affidavit before the court, and they're coming to you and saying they want that 2.2 billion rand back.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for the opportunity. As I'm sitting here today, I've not seen those papers. We have not been privy to those papers. We don't know anything. The only time we heard about this summons is when we were contacted by the City Press last night, informing us that they've learned that indeed the SIU has lodged the papers in the Polokwane High Court, and they were one of the companies cited in those papers. We tried to call around and find out exactly what is this matter, and to date we don't have those papers. That's quite surprising, precisely because if indeed SIU is genuine about dealing with this matter, and of course, you've lodged the papers in the High Court. Why, therefore, leak the information to the media and without the respondents having had an opportunity to go through the papers and say exactly what is the allegations that have been posted against us? As I'm talking to you, I don't know those allegations. I've just read what I've seen in the city press. I've not seen the papers. I don't know exactly what they are alleging to. But safe to say that indeed it's correct that we're working in Giyani, that we can't deny. We've done the work in Giyani. And we are on record that indeed nobody can dispute the work that we've done in Giyani. The SIU itself has been to Giyani. They've been to see the work that we've been able to do. But, Katie, the issue is that we cannot, as a private company, be punished for things that government did not do correctly. If here there's a contract that is under dispute or that is regarded to be unlawful, that is a matter between Limpopo Northern Water, the department, and LTE. We were solely invited as a subcontractor to do the works, and we've done that diligently. And even I can tell you now, I've not seen the papers of the SIU, but I can tell you now, we've been in a dispute with the department. We've gone to the public protector because to date, Kathy, when I was here, I said we've not been paid. That amount is still outstanding to date. We've not been paid by the department. And now all of a sudden, SIU goes to court and claims that we must pay back the 2.2 billion. Again, Kathy, 2.2 billion, it's a lie. That money did not come to CATU on its own. There's a 5% that is paid to Lepele for its fees. There's also a 10% retention fee. Out of every invoice that were paid, they take 10% of that. It's kept by them. There is also 15% of VAT that is taken by them. There's 15% that goes for LTE for engineering fees. Now, tell me then, where, therefore, that money must be paid off by CATU from that 2.2 billion.
So as far as you know then, if I'm hearing you, you wouldn't then also be aware of the fact that an update was given to Parliament today. SCOPA was hearing this matter, and in fact, they've welcomed the developments that have been announced by the SIU. And of course, you know, while it's one thing that you haven't been paid for the services that you've been providing, of course, the other big question is that the costs of this project have far overrun the initial invoicing that was given to the department. And in fact, the affidavit by the SIU, Sipho, which you've seen, says as much.
Look, the way cost overruns, Katie, but I think we should be very careful. When we say cost overruns, we should not mean to say that, for example, the initial project was worth 100 million. It was just really the refurbishment of the wastewater and the water, you know, those things. I get a bit confused. But anyway, the initial contract was for 100 million just to refurbish that. It was a very small contract, which, as I said, should not have lasted for over a month. But then after that, a lot of projects were piled onto LT. They actually basically just handed over to the company. And then the company appointed CATU Civils to do the work. CATU Civils, to their own credit, they've done the work, and Mongezi here is sitting here close to me, has been telling whoever cares to listen that they've done the work and the quality of the work is good, fair enough. But Mongezi, even under those circumstances, would you agree that the way the contract was handed over to LTE, the processes that were followed were really not according to the principles of Section 217 of the Constitution?
As far as we know, whatever happens in the department and Lepele, it's got nothing to do with us. Whatever happens, if they do not follow their own processes, it's up to the department and Lepele to make sure that they institute further processes to investigate and discipline whoever has done that.
But with how much sincerity can you actually say that when part of the reasons why you are said to have been one of those that was considered for this project was out of the instruction that came out of the Department of Water Affairs?
No, not CATU Civils. Don't make a mistake. CATU Civils is subcontracted by LTE.
Yes,
we understand. That's a private arrangement.
But surely
it
comes down to semantics.
No, it's not semantics, Kathy. It's a fact. I don't have a contract with the department. I don't have a contract with Lepele. I have a contract with LTE. If you go to court now, you're going to receive those papers. That's where you're going to put the facts.
So then why are you asking the department to pay you the money that you want? If today you can separate... No, but today you can separate the issues. You can separate the work of the department from LTE.
But then why pay me from payment number 1 to payment number 18? Who's been paying us? It's the department that has been paying all along. We've been sitting in the meetings with the department. Who's actually verifying the work on site? It's the department. There are independent auditors from the department, from Ernst & Young, from Lepele, that are actually verifying the work. The department has been there from day one. Why, therefore, should you run away that the department ultimately is responsible? Okay. But from a legal point of view, I don't have a contract with the department. I have a contract with LTE. Therefore, as we go to court, we're going to be proving that. Because also there's this fallacy, therefore, that Cato Civils is the one, therefore, that is at fault on this matter. We're not at fault here. The guys from Lepelle and the department and the LTE must answer for themselves. We are happy, Kathy, that this matter is finally going to court. Because we've been vilified as Cato Civils. We've been made names as if we are thieves, as if we have stolen money. And we've never stolen a cent on this project. We've worked very hard. We've made sure the people of Giyani have got water. And now all of a sudden, everybody's saying it's Cato Civils that must pay back the money. From where? The money is underground. And therefore, if somebody wants to challenge us, let's go to court, present your facts, we'll present our facts.
When did your relationship with LTE become strained?
It's not strained, Kathy. The issue is that we're working on site, and therefore there are engineers, we're the contractor. Those things do happen on site. That if you don't agree with the contractor or the engineer, these things will happen, but we have to sit down and make sure things are sorted out. But the mere fact that where we're sitting now is that we have a contract with LTE, and that contract has to be honored. We'll take it up with LTE in that matter.
Sipho, is he being genuine about the status of that relationship from what you understand, at least from the facts on paper and what you've discovered in your reporting?
No, I don't think I think he's being a bit economical with the truth. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that the relationship between Cato Civils and LTD has collapsed completely. In fact, to a point where they really just have to talk because they're bound by contractual issues. But as far as relationships are concerned, there is no more relationship as far as I know. But I think there's all the other things, Kate, that we have to talk as far as this project is concerned. I mean, we talk about Cato Civils and LTE, and this project dates back to 2008. 2008. This government has failed to deliver the water to people of Giyani since 2008. This government was not able to put up a 50-kilometer pipeline from Nandoni Dam to Nsami Dam, because basically these guys have done with their work, almost there they're done. Even if they were to finish today and leave the site, there's still a pipeline that has to be constructed from Nsami, no, sort of from the Nandoni to the Nsami Dam. That work, I mean, it's not even. Look, I don't know how far that work is. I know that the company that was doing the work also at some point they left the site because they were not paid. And even if that pipeline is completed tomorrow, there's still the issue of reticulation. These guys are just supposed to put the pipeline and put the reservoirs and the valves and stuff. There still has to be reticulation done. When is that going to be done? How can you take more than 20 years to deliver one single project, a very tiny project for that matter?
All right, and certainly a good point that you raised there. Mongezi, before I let you go, one of the things you mentioned is that you are going to be, you've laid a complaint with the public protector.
Yes, indeed.
What does that complaint entail, and when did you lay it?
Well, we've laid a complaint about a month ago. There has been correspondence between the Office of the Public Protector and Polokwane with Lepelle and ourselves. It's basically with regard to the public protector intervening in our payment processes, because we believe that the public protector has a role and a duty to play in that regard, and we've laid a formal complaint, and therefore the public protector is busy assessing the papers, and I'm sure one way or another will be called in all of us to sit down and see how therefore the payment issue can be resolved. And the fact of the matter is that we've done work, and therefore, duly, we must be paid for that work that we've done.
And in terms of this case now that is being pursued by the SIU, at this point, will you be giving back any of the money that has been paid to you as a result of that project in Giyani?
Okay, that will be a subject of the courts. We'll be presenting all our evidence. We'll be presenting all our papers in court. We'll therefore be putting affidavits of everybody that has worked on this project. We'll be showing exactly where the money has gone to, what has been paid, and so forth. So we've got nothing to hide. All our invoices can be scrutinized from invoice number 1 to number 18 that has been paid lately. So we don't have nothing to hide. But let me tell you, there is nothing to pay back. Instead, government owes us money. We've incurred taxes that we've not paid to SARS. We've incurred interest on our bank for overdraft. So, in fact, we're owed money by government, more than us actually having to return money to government. So, again, when we go to court, we'll be putting those papers before the court to say, actually, we're the ones who are owed money by government in this regard, because we have sacrificed a lot for this project to actually be to where it is today.
All right.
We want our money to be paid back by government.
Okay.
Lepelle still owes us 45 million, and it's sitting that money with Lepelle as I'm talking to you.
All right. Your final thoughts,
My final thought is that I think the SIU is just really going for the low-hanging fruit. The truth of this matter is that Minister Mokonyane issued instructions that Lepelle North and Water should appoint LTE, and then LTH should appoint Kato civils. And if you look at those papers, there's absolutely nothing about the politicians, the political principals who made the decisions on who should be appointed. There's absolutely nothing about them, and I think it's a very big tragedy, Katie.
All right. And while this fight goes on, I think at the heart of the story is the fact that the people of Giyani remain without water. And we did extend the invite to LTE, but unfortunately they declined the interview, saying that it was too short notice. City Press journalist Sipho Masondo and Katu Civil's CEO Mongezi Myani.